Hello, Unify webinar. I'm host Martin Tietz, and I'm going to introduce you to this webinar and how you can get in contact to me and Helmut during this webinar. When you have questions during the webinar, you can always use the WebEx Q&A tool. That's actually what we like to suggest you to use. If you have questions, put your into the Q&A tool that's on your WebEx bar. Press on the question mark and then enter your question. We'll be able to answer that question only at the end of this webinar, but we will be answering your questions. So use the Q&A button for that. Today we will be talking about our experiences in getting existing team developer applications to .NET. And our speaker for that is our experienced consultant and Helmut Reimann. A few words about Unify for those people that are new to Unify. Unify is available on the market for more than 30 years now, and a proud developer of development tools and database products since that. We have did many first like Data Server, the first Unix SQL database, Excel, the first Unix 4GL, SQL, the first DOS and Windows SQL database, Windows, the first Windows 4GL, and Vim Developer, the first Windows 32-bit 4GL. We're also doing other things than databases and development tools. These include Access1 archiving solutions, Aegis e-discovery solutions, Oracle Forms to Java migration toolkit, and Lotus Notes to .NET migration. If you are interested in any of those, please contact us privately. Send an email at info@unify.com, for example. Today, I'm proud to introduce Helmut Reimann. He's an experienced TD professional. He has more than 10 years at Unify and right now involved in many projects that upgrade existing customer applications to TD 6.0.NET. Helmut also our kind of professor of the Unify Academy. He has provided all the learning material there. And I'd like to hand over to Helmut now for the webinar. Let me make presenter. And unmute.
Okay. You can see my desktop?
Not yet. Now it's coming.
Okay, perfect. So hello and good evening from good old Germany. So as Martin mentioned, I'm consulting at Unify. I'm working with team developers since many, many years. Since 7 years I'm with Unify, and I'm working since around 9 months on some projects to upgrade existing sources to Developer 6, Win32, and .NET. And today I want to share my experience with you. Because, we have a new build target inside Team Developer, and this build target gives the possibility to compile your application and run your application on .NET frameworks. It sounds a little bit easy to have only a compiler option to compile something brand new. But in my experience in the last 9 months, I can tell you that sometimes I say the devil is really behind the code lines, and to give you some feedback and some more information what to do if you want to migrate your application to Win32 and to upgrade your application to .NET. So let's start with our agenda for tonight. First of all, I want to give you an overview about Team Developer 6.0.NET, and we have to talk about Win32 and .NET. What's the difference? Because if you plan your upgrade existing application to .NET, we have to talk about different technologies and to explain in brief details what is really about the scene, what is now different. And we have to talk about make your source.NET ready. so not every source is really ready to compile directly .NET. We have to talk about WPF applications because this is the basic .NET technology behind Team Developer. And we have to talk about the same sources for Win32 and .NET. So at least we have SAL sources, SAL application language from Team Developer, and this is really the same source if you compile to .NET and or if you want to stay with Win32 or if you want to mix it. Then I want to give you a short overview about Team Developer 6.1 and a demo source from a customer. I want to show this demo source how to the steps are to get this application running on .NET. So this is build targets of Team Developer 6.0 .NET. I don't know if you have already all the add-ons, and if you have license, you will see on the right side the .NET build targets. So just at the moment, it's pretty simple. So on the left side, these are known, these are the old technology, and you can now use the .NET application build targets. For example, you switch on the build target type WPF desktop, and if you compile something, you should get an executable which is running on MSIL. The theory and the marketing string and marketing stream, for example, and the sales tells you it's pretty simple. It's only a build target, but there are a lot of things to talk about behind the scene. And now Team Developer with this build targets is now able to create really native .NET applications like C# or VB.NET. So at least we have a new language which is used or can be used to create new executables based on Microsoft MSIL and based on the .NET framework. So if it is really a simple change of a build target to existing source compiled to .NET, the answer is it depends. Sometimes it is pretty simple and sometimes it doesn't work. So it's more than one reason, and sometimes if you, for example, test this build application with build targets, then existing sources, and you try it out and you get a long list which is not supported or doesn't work. First, I want to give you some information what's behind the scene, what's now new in Team Developer 6 to have an understanding why different things are not working or must be changed inside Team Developer 6 sources to run on .NET. First of all, on the left side you can see Team Developer 6 Win32. This is really the old technology. We have this since many, many years inside Team Developer. That means you have a Team Developer class library. This class library gives you all the API calls, all the database connectivity, the reporting features, and so on. And we have a Team Developer execution runtime. This execution runtime, is known as our deployment. So on the deployment, we call sometimes Windows API. We do some calls to the operating system to display something, to get some information out of the operating system, and so on. So this is proven technology, and migrating from existing application to Team Developer 6 Win32 is not a big deal. Okay, you have to do all the migration steps, like bring your sources into Team Developer 6. We have some migration tools. They do the jobs for you. But keep in mind, Team Developer 6 is based on Unicode. So if you are dealing with third-party DLLs, like own written DLLs and so on, and you pass strings, make sure that you pass Unicode or ANSI string. Maybe you have to translate the strings or transfer the strings from Unicode into ANSI character strings or from ANSI into Unicode. So this is very important to know. Most of these issues are related to these API calls or to these external function calls. So we don't have any big issue or showstopper to bring to have problems with your existing source code to bring it to Win32, Team Developer 6 Win32. again, most or many things are now implemented in these tools, and you have to talk about, for example, what's going on with a graphics server, but later on I will explain what's going on with a graphics server and some other technologies behind the scene. And in Team Developer 6, we have the first time the possibility to change the look and feel of your applications, like modify your applications with new controls like the outline page navigator or tree control or other. With Team Developer 6.NET, you have the possibility to create native .NET applications. So there's no runtime for the developer. So you can install your applications, you can deploy or publish your applications. Deploy if you want to create desktop applications or publish applications. If you want to create XBAP applications, are running inside your IIS, and you can run this application, download this application inside the browser. At this point, the two steps are the same. We have Team Developer 6.NET and we have the Team Developer class library. But then we need a .NET Common Runtime language, or CLR, which represents our business framework. So this framework, we have all these nice features like style message box and so on, we know from your source code. And this contacts directly and deals directly with the .NET framework, as it itself deals with Windows operating system or with Windows short calls to some deep or some near processor calls. So at this point, there's no Team Developer execution runtime. Everything is done by .NET assemblies like our Team Developer business assembly business pro objects and our .NET framework. The Team architecture at this point, to make short, has a new Team Developer English language compiler. This compiler can create .NET sub-libraries, class libraries, UPF example desktop or browser applications. We have included the new Developer Intermediate Language Debugger. So this is a Microsoft debugger which is used to debug compiled assembly. The Team Developer.NET class libraries are really the business framework of Team Developer, and it is based on the 3.0, 3.5 .NET framework. The DB access controls and types, data types and so on are really inside the framework, and we use this framework to deal with the database. So it's not really technology from Five. It's really standard technology from Microsoft. So any other .NET language uses accepting the .NET class library called the Team Developer Business Framework. So the first question, if you want to compile the first time to .NET, is source code .NET ready? This will ask from your management and so on. Maybe you have plans to go to .NET, and this is the first question. Is our source code ready to .NET? You saw before, we have totally different technologies involved. 32 compiler options is based on the unified own deployment. There's no direct dependency to parts of the framework of the operating system. Compiler builds native .NET application which needs the .NET framework to run. Also, application needs assemblies which contains the Team Developer Business Framework. So this this framework contains Team Developer API, data type definition, report builder functions, and is compiled into .NET assemblies. The target for Unify is to create a compiler which builds standard .NET application based on Microsoft technology like WPF, the Voice Presentation Foundation, Microsoft.NET Debugger, .NET Framework, and so on. So everything behind the scene, and the layer down to the business framework, really standard. And a lot of tools inside Team Developer IDE are Microsoft standards. So to get your source .NET ready sources is a Google project. And it is at this point, this is really a project. It's not done side by side. That doesn't mean you can't, or it's not a good idea to start with 4.2 or older sources and load them into Team Developer 6 and start from the fly to get this application run on .NET. It makes sense to start with Team Developer 6.0 and .NET applications for new projects. And you can start by using the Team Developer Business Framework and the .NET Framework. So at this point, if you start with Team Developer with new project, then it's pretty simple. You can use the proven SAL features, SAL methods, and Team Developer IDE in combination with the .NET Framework. Are the sources the same for 32 and .NET compiled targets? No. We are on 32, we have our own with objects like form dialogues, combo boxes, and so on. And WPF childs, or for .NET, we have WPF childs for visible objects. So if you compile, for example, a dialog or a form on MDI, you create XAML files, describes the look and feel of these dialogues and forms. So totally different technology. So the existing objects must be replaced. You don't know about this if you made an application from existing Team Developer 4.2 sources into Team Developer 6 sources. We replace them during the migration process. So this is pretty simple. You don't have to touch them. Adding the table window and some other, but later on I will explain a little bit more. The API is mostly the same. The same Team Developer source is inside the Team Developer Business Framework. So really the SAL functions, the SAL methods inside Team Developer IDE. But for it is, for example, if you do a SAL message box, SAL message box is based in Win32 of our own message box technology. You call the same SAL message box in Team Developer for .NET. Then you get the message box from the .NET Framework. Some API methods doesn't work for WPF, like SAL grid set header and SAL grid set footer. You will find a list of these methods which are not supported in .NET inside our academy. There are a lot of information about what's now different, how to compile, and how to publish, for example, applications to web. And some WM methods are not supported by the .NET Framework. So what we do is we try to get a function-complete version of Team Developer with one-to-one to Win32. But learning about the differences inside the technology between 32 and .NET is not every time possible to support all these messages or old functions which are used, for example, for DDE or some other stuff, because it's not really now implemented in the .NET Framework. So we work around this. If the sources are ready, the answer is yes. Then the application can be compiled and works fine with Team Developer 6.0 Win32 build targets. So if you get your application running on Win32, then maybe you have only a short step to get your application running on the .NET target platforms. So we have a nice tool inside Team Developer for .NET. It's called Upgrade Report. And it runs this upgrade report because you get a long list, maybe a short list, about features which are not really supported in .NET. And this list can be very long, can be very short. It depends how many source code you have, how many source code you are dealing with, and so on. But mostly this depends on really unsupported functions, like Visual Tool Chest replacement. So you have maybe some Visual Tool Chest which are not really now inside the .NET framework. So you have to replace them with new controls, with a tree control. So we provide some new controls inside Team Developer 6 which helps you to get your applications to .NET. For example, we have to replace the table window with new grid control. So it's the same feature plus some new column types and so on, and export to Excel and new features and so on. But the old table window, it's pretty nice, but this old table window is not able to create WPF or XAML to be displayed inside a browser or inside the WPF environment. Same for quick tabs. So you have to replace these quick tabs with tab control and a replacement of the quick graph. So in TD6.1 we have a new implementation of the quick graph. Later on I'll explain a little bit more about the replacement. And of course DDE is very, very old, and you have to replace DDE definitely if you want to go to .NET with the latest technology. So there's no way around. This is pretty old, and in the field I find a lot of applications there based on DDE. But again, if you want to go to .NET, DDE is dead. And maybe you have some third-party stuff inside your source code, and Common is building blocks. So the application is based on building blocks. We are sorry. There's no way to get this application to .NET. Not our at this point, but we know, again, building block generates a lot of API code. That is fine. We can manage this API calls. But the problem is that there are also some DLLs involved, and these DLLs are not .NET ready. So if you do this, you have to talk with a vendor. And we find some XSAL as the sources. Most of this XSAL in existing applications is used to display some tooltips or some other small stuff. So for this, it's pretty simple to replace. So use, for example, XSAL tooltips, and you can use other like the tree control to get trees displayed or tools displayed. We have static tooltips inside Team Developer 6 as well as dynamic tooltips. So let's start do some screenshots. First, I told you have to run an upgrade report. So existing sources. Then if you switch on the first time the build target, you will .NET, you will be asked to run an upgrade report, and highly recommended to do this. Yet, maybe a text file, and this text file, this part of this report will display you some upgrade issues. In the text editor, and you will see upgrade report found problems in the DOM base. That means the compiler looks if everything really defined, is everything clear, do we have open references, do we have some functions which are not supported, and so on. And this report is in different phases. First phase looks into different DLLs, and we have a library name, it's called QuickGraph 60.dll. This is because of my computer is using the new QuickGraph control, and the compiler doesn't know about it. So if the compiler knows this thing is fine, and it's really something which is now in Team Developer, then this message will disappear. Phase 2 of the upgrade report tells you that I have two functions, separate set header and set footer, which are not supported in the .NET build target. So at this point, we have two calls, and we have to deal with these two calls. Different ways to deal with these calls and with this type of lists. So first at all, what you can do, you can create tasks, and tasks can be used to switch through this parts of source code to get this really fixed. And if everything is fixed, then if you run this upgrade report again in the new project version 6 upgrade report, after a while you will see no issues found to report. At this point, you are able to compile to .NET. This is a time which a compiler really runs without any problems, without any errors. Later on, I will try to make it more clear, because why maybe. At this point, if you have all these problems fixed in the task list and so on, then it should work for all with the .NET compiler, and you can start doing or start with debugging. Point. your source is now ready to compile. So run the application in debug mode, and the Microsoft debugger will be started for debugging. So, it's really the same as a debugger for Win32, and then you are able to debug and test your applications. Very important thing is the .NET browser applications, Xbug applications, should be done in the desktop mode. The code is the same, the compiler is the same, but it's not a good idea to run your application inside the browser, testing and for debugging, and we don't have the possibility to bring you back into the code. So the executable and so on is the same, so please use the desktop mode to debug your applications. If I talk to customer, if I get a response from customer, then we have to think about a few points. First of all, we implemented in Team Developer a new data type called binary. And you should change the source if binary can be used. For example, if you are dealing with images or documents, like you want to pass documents into an operating system, if you want to copy something, if you create documents with Office automation and so on, or if you create PDF files, or if you want to save something inside the database, like documents, like images and so on, then maybe it makes sense to use the data type binary. Split really the binary data from the strings. So I guess it's very, very useful, because if you want to use this parameter or this information, like a picture, and you want to, or a document, and you want to pass this document into a field from the .NET framework, then you will get a data type mismatch. So at this point, you have to cast them directly into binary. So you can do this directly by using the binary data type, because the function calls are the same. If you are dealing with long string, for example, to get out a picture of a picture box or of a database and bring it into a picture box, are the same. So overload this binary data type for the string, or the string for the binary data type. So this is a big deal. And most of the problems we have with third-party DLLs. So at this point, to create native .NET applications, and it makes sense to recompile these DLLs at .NET as DLLs. So, for example, we are dealing at the moment with a few customers in Europe, and they have all these DLLs. They're based on C# or C++, and they want to create .NET assemblies for these DLLs. This makes sense because they can use this .NET DLLs in .NET, and maybe if they have still other applications, they can use them directly in Win32. So there's no gap between Win32 and .NET at this point. API calls, very common to find out maybe, the TCP IP address or the login name and so on. It stands to replace this Win API calls with corresponding .NET framework calls. So for this, we have, for the last two on the slide, we have .NET Explorer, and you can directly call into the .NET framework, find the right function with the right asset, and we create an APL, and you can include this APL inside the Team Developer source, and now you can place the function call from Win32 into the .NET call. Same for the third-party DLLs. So have them as a DL, then use the .NET Explorer to look into this DLL and create the APL, the wrapper, to call directly this code inside your application. That's pretty simple to use and to implement. We have often asked questions. It makes sense to migrate directly from older versions to Team Developer 6.NET. No. They're not. Because you have a lot of things to do if you migrate applications to Win32 Team Developer 6, if it comes from Team Developer 4.2 and older versions, early versions. It's not that ready. You have to replace maybe the grid table window with a grid control. You have to look and feel. You have to deal with Unicode. You have to deal with third-party DLLs and so on. So a lot of things must be done to get this first compiled on Win32. So if you start directly with .NET, then you have to do these things, what you have to do with Win32, and on top you have to do a lot of things, maybe to get it to .NET. So it may be very frustrating to have maybe 5 or 6 months no existing running application. So at this point, bring your application to Win32 and bring this to run, this is tabbed and so on, then start with the .NET migration. It consuming to get .NET applications. It depends. Sometimes you need, there's no rule, like 1 million items need 4 weeks. So it's more how the code looks like, how many third-party tools are used, what can be displaced with .NET Framework functionality, what must be done new, what must be replaced, and so on. So it's not really, at this point to say, we plan, now it's August, we plan a new release end of September, and we are ready with development. In 4.2 we decide to go to Team Developer 6 because we have a little bit more time. Then we want to do it really in one flight to .NET. It makes sense. Get it on Team Developer 6 Win32 in this time frame, including testing. But if you want to do something directly to .NET, you need more time. You have a new project for this. So next steps. Should we to compile .NET time to time during migrating the sources to Developer 6 Win32? Yes. So if you plan long-term or short or middle-term to go .NET with Team Developer, that makes sense to have the step from, for example, previous version of Team Developer to Team Developer 6 and to do sometimes a test compile. So if you're working on the sources and you know you have to replace something in your existing sources, then maybe one time a week it makes sense to say, okay, I test my compiler, I run my upgrade report and see what's now different. Because I'm working active on my sources, and if I can do something now, then I don't have to do it twice. Because maybe I have to implement new features, new functionality, and I have in mind I have to do something different because I want my build target, long-term build target is .NET. So it makes sense. We start using .NET Framework functionality in TD6 Win32. Yes. Yes. So, for example, if you have existing external function calls and you are owner of the sources of these DLLs and so on, and you plan to go to .NET, it makes sense to make this DLLs, this externals, also .NET ready. At this point, you can use them in Win32 and inside the .NET targets. So there's no difference in the usage between Win32 and .NET. Life a little bit simple. Can we reuse ActiveX controls? Definitely yes. So we have found a way to use your old Team Developer ActiveX controls, or not the Team Developer ActiveX controls, better say, which is used in your Team Developer applications. Like you are owner of a special ActiveX control to display a nice Gantt diagram or whatever you want to do. You can use them in .NET or in Win32 build targets. You only need to create the new APL for this, and then the ActiveX control should work. A little bit different is if you want to run your application in a browser mode. So normally the browser downloads executable and use the runtime, the framework runtime on the browser machine, on the client. So you have to register at this point if you want ActiveX controls, if you want to use ActiveX controls, then you have to register them on the client machine. you don't have to install something if you run your application inside the browser. I use WPF control for my .NET application. Can I win Win32? No. So at a point, you have to decide, I want to go ahead with .NET because I want to have some nice WPF controls, which are really millions on the market in the web and so on. And these are pretty simple to use in Team Developer. I'm pretty sure you saw some presentations from my colleagues in the past or during developer conference to use them. So it's simple, but at this point there's no way back. So if you use WPF controls in .NET applications, you can't use them in Win32. This is really at this point you have to decide, I want to use them, then I want to go to .NET. Possible to switch between parts of application based on the compile target. We found out during some migration project that it makes sense. For example, you saw in my upgrading report that I have two functions inside my source code which are running on .NET. At this point, it makes sense to say, well, I want to have a conditional runtime. That means my application should decide, I'm running now in Win32 mode, and if the variable, for example, if Win32, be Win32, then do this. If I'm running and I was compiled for .NET, please do this. At this point, you can stay with the old code and you can decide, okay, if I have this global variable, if this is true, then I'm running on Win32, do this in this way. If I'm running on .NET build targets, do this in this way. So this helps you to have only one source code, but again, maybe the functionality is a little bit different. For example, if you do the row header set for grid control to during to get a header or a footer during direct printing from grid control, that it doesn't work. You will get print header and print footer if you're printing on .NET, but you will get it if running on Win32. So this will be very helpful for the future. Use this in Team Developer 6.1. Last question, what's about graph? Can we use Quick Graph in Team Developer 6 Win32? Yes. You are using only the local code page. So dealing natively with Unicode, that means data which should be displayed on this graph control and so on comes from the Unicode database, from NCAR fields and NBARCA fields. Then you have question marks. Because Quick Graph doesn't support Unicode. Quick Graph is based on a third-party tool from bits per second and doesn't support Unicode in the latest version. All bit per second is out of the market. In Team Developer 6 we will have a new chart control which replaces Quick Graphs. So you have to do something to replace it for you, and if you start your application, if you compile your application to Win32 or to .NET, you will see your graphic with the new or your charts with the new graphic control. We will support many more options like export to Excel, JPEG, direct print, zoom in, link, and so on. So we have a lot of new features inside the new graph control, and it makes fun to work with because API is nearly the same. We have the same Quick Graph control, and you get brand new, really nice fashioned new controls and new graphics and charts. What's APDs? In .NET, APDs are compiled to a .NET SAL library. So if you look into the build targets, you will see that we have the option to create .NET SAL libraries. So this is corresponding to the APDs. What when we create assemblies, so DLLs, and these DLLs can be used and can be again included via the .NET Explorer and directly into the existing source. And for of course they can run the Win32 application too. So old APDs can replace this .NET DLL native assemblies and can use them in Win32 and in .NET. You have the same sources. What about Report Builder? So Report Builder for Win32 and the .NET environment is the same. Same features, same functionality, and so on. The report works in the same way with the messaging, passing variables, includes, and so on. To this report, you get all the messaging back from the report to send next data, and so on. So this is really the same. The very important thing is I step some time into this issue. You have to migrate this reports to Report Builder 6. There's no way. The same if you want to create Win32 applications with the developer 6 or .NET, all sources must be on the same level. That should work to have all sources, for example, on Win4 or Team Developer 4.2 and try to run them and to contact APDs and so on using Team Developer 6 applications. So it doesn't work, it crashes. So you have to have all those sources on the same level. So Report works also inside the browser. So if you want to ship your application, if you want to your applications inside a browser, then you can also use the reports built on Report Builder inside the browser. It works really well. Other reporting tools like Crystal Reports and so on. If I look into our .NET framework or in the framework of Microsoft, then you see a lot of classes based for Crystal Reports. So you find some reporting tools. There are a lot of reporting tools on the market, and most of them are third-party tools. That means that they want to deal with .NET, they want to deal with Microsoft languages and so on, and you can use them in the same way in Team Developer. That means the same way, look into this .NET assemblies, create the wrapper for this, call the methods inside the Team Developer application, and it will work in the same way. So an outlook to Team Developer 6.1, only a short outlook, because we want to talk today only about the .NET build targets. Of course, we have to improve our .NET Explorer because we want to support and if we want to give you a chance to have multiple includes for the .NET Explorer, not to do it again and again. And for example, then you have to delete duplicated includes and so on. So we want to have something which is really can deal with all the different .NET framework class and so on, and external classes, own classes in the same way, on the same fly, in the same application, without changing tools. Then now that we use XAML, WF and /XAML objects to display dialogues, forms, objects, child windows, and so on. So this is based on XAML. So the compiler creates XAML files. This XAML is a description language based on XML, and you will, if you look at the XAML file, you will see some formatting stuff. You will see some properties. You will see the name of the object and so on. And you can manipulate this XAML by using our XAML editor. But now this is not pretty easy to use, and you have to think about XAML. Do something wrong, the application doesn't work. So at this point, we want to have a better XAML browser. We want to give you a XAML schema editor to create your own schema. Like a button is now a round button, or is a flickering button, or whatever you need on your application. We need a WPF binding class and a control wizard that helps you to deal with this new controls much easier. For example, if you have third-party WPF controls, then you need, for example, the knowledge about functions, about properties of these controls. If you buy something or if you get something for free. You need some additional debug features like local .NET exceptions. These exceptions, for example, could use if something is wrong in the .NET framework, or if something is wrong inside your .NET assembly, which is built with Team Developer, then you need the local .NET exceptions. The same for .NET classes. We want to add private and public so that you can really protect some features and some functions from outside, or that can only be used from the inside of your application. Of course, the new graphics server, which is now in beta, and one of our customers is testing this because they are on the way to get the application on .NET. So, in summary, before I start to show you something, how to use this .NET build targets, it's really a project. You have to put time and budget. It's not done really on the fly. Because of different technologies, now there are different technologies involved. Maybe you have to replace technologies because they are too old. You have to find something new to get it on a new framework. And we know that in the past, if we are dealing with Win32, then you can load directly all sources into Team Developer. You can compile, start testing and debugging, and that's it. But if you want to go to .NET, it's a totally different technology. And at this point, we have to look into the framework, what is possible. And in Team Developer Win32, we have some very, very nice features inside, but they are not really one-to-one in the .NET framework. And we are, with this framework, is calling the .NET framework. It's based on the .NET framework. So if something missing in the framework, we can't support it. It's really behind. What we are doing, we are dealing with customer, end users, and so on, or with ISVs or big companies, which big applications. And we do mostly a proof of concept. That means we look into the sources from Unify sites, and we find out if there are any upgrade issues. First of all, we do proof of concept to get applications running on Win32, and if we do an assessment, then we look a little bit deeper into this. That means we try to find out what's the difference inside the source code, what's now not running on, for example, .NET, which third-party DLLs are involved, which version are this DLLs from, and so on. For example, we found a customer, they want to upgrade first of all to Win32. Everything is fine, but at the next step, they want to go to .NET, and they have only DLL from 1997. They don't have the sources and so on. So we have to find something around to get this function implemented. But no documentation is available and so on. So we have really to find what's really going on. And it's not really only if you create the time or plan the time and the budget. We have to talk about the .NET or the Team Developer source code. You have to look in many, many more areas like existing third-party DLLs. You have to look into existing source code from these DLLs. You have to maybe to replace Win32 calls, operating system calls from Windows with calls to the .NET framework. So, on the .NET upgrade project is a successful migration to Win32. So experience tells me every time if you want to go to .NET and if you want to learn to go to .NET, ensure that your application is on Win32. It's running and stable and so on. And if this is done, if this project is done, then do the next step, look into the .NET. So, if you want more information, have at unify.com. And Martin mentioned before, have Unify Academy, and you will find a lot of things for the compiling application to .NET in this academy. For example, which API calls are not supported in .NET, which VM messages are not supported or are supported, what must be done to get an application running into a browser. So this is really basic stuff, and it's very frustrating if I use only the compiler options, do something, and nothing happens, or I get a lot of errors, and then without knowing what's going on. So at this point, maybe it makes sense if you sit together or with a partner from Unify, certified partner to look into a proof of concept or into an assessment to give you the feeling that it's a dual project in a doable time and a doable and a very good budget. Of course, it makes sense to come to Unified Developer Conferences around Europe or maybe in the US because you will see all the new technologies, you will see in the day how to convert or how to upgrade the application inside Team Developer to .NET. Give you a lot of things and give you a lot of ideas what to do and not to say, okay, now they want to have I don't know how many dollars for the .NET add-on, but we are not able to use it. So mostly my experience is really to understand that there are different technologies behind the scene. If this is really in the mind, then most things looks very clear and you can start going to .NET. So we can start with the questions, but before we do this, I want to show you a small application. So you can see hopefully my team developer, and this source code was provided from a customer last week. And I don't know if it's on a phone, but you can see this application is now on Team Developer 6.0. And now I can go into the build settings. I said I want to run this application in the build settings for standard executables. So what I do, I go application, I get a warning that I have deprecated functions SQL immediate. So this developer use SQL immediate. Deprecate function means look into this and maybe find a solution to use maybe serial connect, prepare and execute, maybe commit and disconnect to have more control about the SQL statement. But see, my application is running inside my desktop and inside my IDE in Win32 mode. So now I change my build settings into the .NET application and start first with the desktop application. Okay. And ask about, do you want to run the report? Yes. So I will run the report at this point. This is a good point. No issues found to report. And I saw a screenshot from this colleague which sent me this, small application. He got a message like you're not able to copy or to name a group box if it is derived from a class. So this was a compiler issue. That means the compiler doesn't find really the class because the name doesn't fit to this derived control. So this takes, therefore there's no message inside my report. We can compile this application to intermediate language, ML. It takes a little bit of time, and we compile it now, or we now in .NET mode. That means we have to start the .NET framework, we have to start the Team Developer Business Framework. And application, if I go to my application, it's not running, it's running as an application, native .NET. So you don't need any deployment from Team Developer. So everything what you have to do is you have to create the installer. That means at this point the installer looks into dependency. It's which components from the .NET framework is used, which connectivity is used, which SQLina is used, which come from the Team Developer Business framework is used. Creates an installer for this. I have a small issue, to be honest. This issue is related to a message. So look into 5. You will see there was original SAL post message to close to an MI window. So a bit different in .NET. This was used to say, okay, I want to close this window. If I give a message, I look into my childs, and my childs can be closed, and so on. So handling at this point is a little bit different. So I did it pretty simple. I use only a side quit because it only if everything was closed, every child was closed, the form was closed, and do a quit. But in this case, I did it pretty simple. I call it a side quit because I can run now into the application exit application method, and I can do all the things inside this method. It's pretty easy to use. And you can see I created a task. So I have the ability with clicking on a special item to convert task or insert task. Or I create a task. That means at this point I look into special object. It's called task editor, and find task. Task, kind of find it. Find all tasks. I will see I did something today. And, if I click this task, I will be directly inside the source code. So I use task if I want to do something. I want to do changes for .NET to comment something out, to say I want to work later on this issue, and so on. So it's more to-do list inside Team Developer. So what I can do is I want to compile it now to the WPF browser. I have compiled it because to run this in debug code. It takes time. I get is now, if I look at my operating system, the directory, you will see we have an application. It's built nearly 6 o'clock my time. So I got a lot of INI files and so on, and Xbub. And this Xbub is my browser application. So if I start my browser application, my application will run now inside. There's no difference between the Win30 the .NET desktop application or inside the browser application. The good thing for the browser application is that I don't have to install something on the client side. So everything is running on server side inside an IIS, including a reusable DB pipe to connect to the database, to do all the database operations, and so on. So at this point, my source code is run very successfully on .NET. This is really maybe a small application. You will definitely see some upgrade issues, some upgrade or some entries in your upgrade report. That means you have to create tasks, you have to deal with this, and definitely makes life easier if you are working on Win32 build targets, and if you do compilation time by time, because you have in mind you want to go to .NET for the next release or the release after, to be prepared not to do jobs twice. This for the point. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you. Please post your questions into the Q&A tool of WebEx. Recording this webinar, and this will be up on YouTube tomorrow. Also, the sample that Helmut showed will be up on our blog tomorrow, so you can see what we have done there. Question. Are there any tricks in Visual Tool Chest to work in TD6?
If you're still on Win32, then there's an issue, so you can use Visual Tool Chest and so on. It's more if you go to .NET. Maybe you have to reuse something. So it's not all are working not on .NET, so only a few maybe are not supported. So a good idea to look into the list. There's no yes or no. So again, you can find this list on the Academy. There is a list which is what is not supported on .NET or what's different. So it makes sense to look into this chapter and print out this chapter to get this information.
And also the TDP Developer 6 documentation includes all the controls and functions of the Visual Tool Chest that are supported on .NET. I don't see any other questions. Well, thank you very much for attending this webinar, and we hope you success with your .NET projects, and hope to see you soon in our webinars or our developers conferences. Very much, and goodbye.